Hello and welcome to 7th grade math. My name is Denise Blain and I'm your student's math teacher. If your child is with me during homeroom and first period, we're joined by Mrs. Van Sciver. Mrs. Van Sciver is a wonderful math assistant. We're also joined by Mrs. Howgate if you're in my third and fourth period math class. Cindy Howgate is one of Ridgeway's special education teachers. Her main focus is providing support to our special ed students. However, Mrs. Howgate often helps any student who needs assistance. She will often pull out students into small groups, provide additional learning tools, and adapt lessons and practice to suit student-specific needs. I'm excited to be working with her again this year. So a little bit about me before we get into the nitty-gritty of 7th grade math. This is my second year teaching over in Edgewater Park and my second year teaching 7th grade. Prior to that, I've taught 5th and 6th grade in Burlington City. My husband and I moved to West Hampton back in 2003, and our family was raised there in West Hampton till last summer when we moved to Mount Holly, where we currently reside. Our oldest son, Dan, is a freshman over at NJIT. Our middle guy, Jason, is a junior over at Rancocas Valley Regional High School. And our daughter, Amanda, is in 8th grade over at Holbein. We also have a fur baby, Timber, who is 5.5 years old. That's a little bit about me. Now let's get into math class. So my class expectations are pretty much the same virtually as they are in person. I expect my students to participate in that day's activities, whether it be the warm-up or our fantasy football or whatever lesson activities we have going on. I ask them to ask questions when they don't understand and to look for me for help. In person, I'm available during the day, in class at lunch or before or after the school day. Online, I'm available with afternoon office hours, and I can be reached through ParentsWare if a student needs extra help later in the afternoon. I expect my students to turn their assignments in on time. All of our digital assignments have to be turned in through Google Classroom. Students are aware that they have to click the Turn In button or the Mark as Done button. Even if the activity is done in a different platform, they have to go back to Google Classroom to let me know they're finished. If that button's not clicked and the assignment's not marked as done or not turned in, the student may not get credit for the assignment and for the work that they did. If a student is late with their assignment, there is a late work form that they can fill out. This is linked over in my Bitmoji classroom, where my students know where to find that file in our Google Classroom. I have a rule that full names have to be on assignments, especially digital ones. When the students are working on the Google form, they have to put their full name in one of the fields. If there's no name, I can't give them credit. And my last expectation is that my students show their work. It's important for me to see their thought process and to see if they have the concept down, but maybe they made a math error. I can't tell what they did wrong if I can't see their work. I've taught them different ways to upload their work into Google Classroom so they can attach it on assignments where it's needed. So my class rules, again, are very similar online as they are in person. I expect my students to respect everybody in our class and everything around them, whether they're at home or in the class. I expect them to come to class on time and to be prepared. I expect them to follow directions both written and oral. And if they have a question, need clarification, or didn't understand or hear the questions the first time, I expect them to ask. Either they can text me, they can put a message in, or they can raise their hands and ask in class. And lastly, I expect my students to try their hardest each and every day. Being prepared for class is a little bit different in the virtual world than it is in the classroom. Either way, I expect them to come to class with a Chromebook that's fully charged. And I expect them to have their plug for their Chromebook, so if they need to, they can quickly plug it in. When working from home, I expect students to have a way to do their work, either a pencil and paper, a dry erase board and white and marker, or for them to use web paint on their computer. I've showed everybody how to use the Chrome extension Web Paint. I like Web Paint because it lets me see what they're working on when I look at their computer screen. I can tell what they're doing, and I can let them know where they've made their mistakes if I can see it on their screen. I also expect students to have a folder made in Google Drive just to save their math notes. We'll be getting a lot of PDFs, and it's important that things are organized and kept in one location. So, what's a typical 7th grade math class? We start our day with our warm-up. Each day the warm-up is a little bit different. On Mondays, it's a spiral review showing me what they remember from last year. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's all about fantasy football. On Thursdays, we pick the team for the upcoming games. And on Tuesday, we calculate their fantasy scores. On Friday, our warm-up counts as a quiz. That warm-up is 5 to 6 multiple choice questions, all about the lessons that we covered that week. Next, we go over our POW. On Mondays, a new POW is assigned, and the rest of the week we talk about the questions that they have on their problem of the week. Wednesdays, even though we don't meet together for class, a video about their POW is uploaded, giving them hints and giving them an idea of where to go with their answer. Next, we do some sort of lesson. Either it's a shared Google slide file that we all work in together, which at times can get quite comical. Everyone's adding slides or deleting slides or moving things around. I have to say we've gotten better at it. Or we'll use Nearpod. Nearpod is an awesome educational tool where I can give them flashcards that they can work on to solve questions, or we can collaborate on a bulletin board, or we can do polls and play games. It's a great way for us to work together on the lesson and for them to practice. So we'll practice our skills as a group, and then they'll each get an activity for them to do on their own. If their individual practice activity is not done in class, it's required to finish for homework. So different types of activities that they will do for practice include a digital gallery walk. So instead of having questions posted around the room on the walls, they have a Google slide where they get to move pieces around that answer questions. Or digital color by number, where as they work through the questions, if the answer is correct, a picture appears. If the answer is wrong, nothing happens and they know to check their work. Sometimes they'll have an IXL matrix to do, where they have a series of choices that they can make and decide which IXL models they'd want to practice. And sometimes we'll have fantasy football, and we'll talk about our team and our scores. Topics for 7th grade math include integer operations, where we work with positive and negative numbers. And then we'll move to our rational numbers unit, where we'll talk about decimals and fractions. These two units are the building blocks of algebra and the upper level math classes. We'll then move to expressions, equations, and inequalities, where students will start working with variables, learn how to solve equations, expressions, and inequalities using 1- and 2-step and multi-step processes. We'll look at possible solutions and how to graph and chart this information. Then we'll move to ratios, proportions, and percents. In these units, students will talk about discounts, markups, a lot of shopping scenarios. We'll also talk a little bit about simple interest and principal. Then we'll move to geometry, where we'll do construction and scale drawings. This unit covers our triangles and our different angle measurements. We'll move to circles and learn about pi. Students will find circumference, diameter, and radius. We'll read a couple stories about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and we'll discover different fun things with circles. We'll move on to surface area and volume of 3D shapes and close the year off with probability and statistics. Thrown into all this, we'll do some lessons on real-life applications with money and financial awareness. If they're in my pre-algebra class, which is the last class of the day, we'll add on a unit on square roots, exponents, and scientific notation. We'll also learn about Pythagorean theorem, and we'll start graphing linear equations. So here's a breakdown of the the grades for 7th grade math. As you can see, the majority of their grade comes from classwork. Classwork includes their warm-up, it includes participating in class, and doing the daily activities and homework that they end up working on. 15% of their grade is their Friday quiz. 20% is their unit tests. 15% is the IXL modules that they will be working on. And lastly, 20% counts for their POWs and any projects correlating to that unit's lesson. How can you help your child succeed in math? Well, here are some suggestions that I have. Check with them every day to see what they're learning. Show you the activities that we're doing in class. They can show you how they create a picture with their digital color by number, or maybe they can have you see if you can move the pieces around on their digital gallery walk. You can also join our Google Classroom as a parent to receive our email updates. These email updates can come to you daily or once a week, and they'll include a list of the assignments that we have going on. You can also check on course every week to see your child's progress, not only in math class, but in their other classes as well. And of course, you can always reach out to me through Parent Square. Parent Square is a great way to reach out to all of your child's teachers. Say the best way to help your child succeed in math is to encourage them. Let them know that they're doing their best and that you're proud of all the hard work they're putting into their class. Thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to a great year with your child, and I look forward to meeting you in the future.